Welcome to Too Real for TV Season 1, Episode 8. Today, we are diving headfirst into a story that has absolutely everything. A wedding, a beautiful dress, a loving daughter, and a mother who decided she wanted to wear a white floor-length gown to her daughter's wedding. Yeah, you heard that right. It's a classic family showdown that just exploded online, and let me tell you, it touched a major nerve with thousands of people.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get into the weeds of the dilemma itself. Then, we're going to look at what the internet had to say, because you know they had thoughts. After that, we'll explore the powerful, unspoken rule about wearing white to a wedding. And finally, we'll wrap up with a practical playbook for navigating this exact kind of family drama. And hey, if you want more content like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an explainer.
Okay, let's get into it. At the heart of all this is a story that, honestly, feels like it was ripped from a movie script. It's a conflict that is so common and yet so wild, it really boils down to one simple question. And that question is, whose day is it really? This is exactly what a 23-year-old bride-to-be found herself asking when her own mother seemed, well, determined to grab a huge piece of the spotlight all for herself.
Okay, so here are the cold, hard facts. Our bride is getting married. Her mom goes out and buys a dress that is, for all intents and purposes, a wedding dress. It's white, it's floor length. When the bride calmly says, no, you can't wear that, the situation just blows up. The mom fires back, calling her controlling and ungrateful. And then, to make things even worse, her aunt jumps in, whispering, oh, just let her have this, to keep the peace.
And this wasn't some isolated incident. The mother's own words, which she'd apparently been saying throughout the engagement, reveal so much. She actually told her daughter, "This day is as much about me as it is about you." I mean, wow. That single sentence just points to this really bizarre competitive dynamic that was bubbling right under the surface the whole time.
So when the bride confronted her about the dress, the mother's defense wasn't logical at all. It was pure emotion. She apparently burst into tears and framed the whole thing as her last chance to feel beautiful before she gets old. It's just such a powerful, guilt-inducing statement, It's designed to paint the bride as this selfish monster for denying her mom this one supposedly final moment.
And this is where it all comes to a head. When the tears and the guilt-tripping didn't work, the mother pulled out the ultimate trump card, an ultimatum. She threatened to boycott her own daughter's wedding. This left the bride just completely stunned, second-guessing everything and wondering if maybe, just maybe, she was the bad guy. So she did what anyone would do in 2024. She turned to the internet for a verdict.
And oh boy, did the internet answer. Loudly. The consensus was absolutely overwhelming, and it gave this bride the exact validation she was looking for.
The judgment came down fast and hard. NTA. For those of you who might not know, that stands for not the asshole. It's the platform's way of delivering a really clear, unmistakable ruling. In the eyes of thousands of strangers, the bride was 100% in the right. No question.
But the community saw this as so much more than a simple fashion mistake. They immediately diagnosed the mother's behavior as super manipulative and narcissistic. They called out the aunt as a classic enabler. They said this whole thing was a power play, plain and simple. It had nothing to do with feeling beautiful. And most importantly, they saw this not as a one-time fight over a dress, but as a critical, life-altering test of the bride's ability to set boundaries with her family forever.
And one comment just perfectly captured the entire vibe of the community. It was a piece of advice, really. It said, "Don't threaten me with a good time, Mom." The point was crystal clear. Call her bluff. If the mother was really willing to miss her own daughter's wedding over a dress, then maybe, just maybe, her absence would be a blessing in disguise.
So, why? Why did this story get such a massive, passionate response? Because the mother didn't just break a simple rule of etiquette. No, she violated a deeply, deeply ingrained cultural taboo. The kind of thing that feels too real for TV. Let's look at why this no white rule is so incredibly powerful.
Wedding etiquette, at the end of the day, exists for one reason: to keep things respectful and harmonious. It's like a social contract we all agree to make sure the focus stays right where it belongs, on the couple.
And probably the most famous, most well-known rule in that whole playbook is you do not wear white.
But here's a fun fact. This tradition isn't nearly as ancient as you might think. Before 1840, brides just wore their best dress, whatever color it was, blue, red, you name it. That all changed when Queen Victoria chose this stunning, lavish white gown for her wedding to Prince Albert. The pictures went viral, 19th century style, and just like that, a global trend was born. Today, that trend has become this powerful symbol, reserving the color white and all its shades exclusively for the bride.
Now, the rule is also a little more specific than people realize. It's not just pure optic white. Etiquette experts agree that guests really need to steer clear of ivory, cream, and even those really pale pastels that can look white in photos. The core idea is simple, right? Don't wear anything that could cause even a moment of confusion about who the bride is or that looks like you're trying to compete with her.
So why on earth would somebody do this? Psychologically, it seems to boil down to two main camps. First, you've got genuine ignorance. Some people, especially if it's their first wedding or they're from a different culture, they don't know the rule. It's an honest mistake. But then there's the other camp. Intentional malice. And this is a deliberate or sometimes even subconscious play for attention, an act of jealousy, or a flat-out attempt to upstage the bride. And in our story, the internet overwhelmingly diagnosed the mother's actions as falling squarely into this second category.
So this brings us to the most important question of all. What do you actually do when you're in the middle of a mess like this? How do you protect your own peace without completely blowing up your family? Here is a practical, actionable playbook for managing this exact kind of drama.
All right, wedding planning experts suggest a 4-step approach. Step 1, the couple has to be a united front, period. You have to get on the same page about your non-negotiables before you talk to anyone else. Step 2, communicate clearly but kindly. Use I feel statements, not you are accusations. Step 3, delegate. Give family members small, non-critical tasks to make them feel included and valued. And step 4, and this is huge, know when to let go. You have to pick your battles. The color of the napkins, maybe not a hill to die on. The mother of the bride wearing a white gown, yeah, that is a hill worth defending.
But what if, after all your best efforts, a guest actually shows up in white on your wedding day? Etiquette expert Lisa Mirza-Gratz has this amazing piece of advice. Stay calm, be discreet, and let it go. Honestly, the guest has already made themselves look foolish in front of everyone who knows the rules. If you create a big scene, it only makes you look bad and it lets them steal the spotlight. The best revenge is just to have an incredible day and not give them the attention they are so desperately craving.
And ultimately, this whole story just boils down to one question that goes way beyond wedding planning. The aunt told the bride to keep the peace by just giving in. But the bride, backed by thousands of people online, chose to protect her peace by setting a firm boundary. It's a choice so many of us face in our lives. Is it better to keep the peace or to protect your peace? To avoid drama right now or to establish respect for the long run? That's a question worth thinking about. Thanks for watching this episode of Too Real for TV. We'll see you next time.